Let's go.
Hello, everyone. I'm Patty from Penaki. I'm here with two elfia English casters, Dagda and Penguin. Nice to meet you guys. How are you guys over there? You're currently in Ireland, right?
Yeah, we're good. Enjoying the games, I think. Finally taking a break after LPL spring and summer, and then the World Championships. So it's fun to be a fan again from my side.
Yeah, I think that's the big one, is like actually being able to sit down and watch it as a fan now, where it's just like, all right, cool, all analysis out the window. I'm LPL biased. Let's go.
I don't have to be correct. I can listen to my heart again. Well, that.
No,
that was
stress
you, Rob. That was more you.
and like with
exactly.
like fears and everything, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask you, because this was your first time at Worlds, right? Casting on stage on broadcast at Worlds, right? How was that experience? You guys flew over to Berlin and everything.
It was insane. It was absolutely insane. I loved every second of it. Like it was, I'm gonna speak to it. Like it was nerve-wracking as well. To be honest, like to be opening up on the first cast of Worlds as well, where like there's a lot of pressure, obviously, just to be like, hey, this is our first time at the event, but also like, what the hell are we gonna see? Like there's like so many new picks and champions and everything else that's coming in. But I gotta say, like, I absolutely loved every second. The crew that we worked with was incredibly nice, always making sure that we were set up and making sure there was no issues for us. It was awesome to meet all the crew, so we got to work with some of the North American guys like Dash and Emily, and those guys were all awesome as well. And then obviously getting to see a bunch of the EU guys that we'd kind of know from, I suppose, well, living in EU and then doing some of the EU scene events. So I honestly, it was even better than I expected in a lot of ways. I thought that was going to be like, I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't expect it to be as incredible as it was.
Penguin?
Honestly, yeah, like it was kind of surreal for me. Like this is, I've said it before, but like this was like a dream of mine for years and years and years. And it's like, I kind of did it. And like we were literally about 2 minutes before we went live. And I kind of looked at Rob and I was like, oh, we're doing this.
You got busted on camera as well.
Yes.
So we were in the middle of our like warm up and everything like that. And Penguin looks at me and goes, Dagda, I think I'm going to cry. And then we get in her ear is that, yeah, guys, your mics are live. And your mics are
yeah, it was like they were like, we're not sure where they're going to, but they're going somewhere. Then it turns out they were going to like analyst desks. So like the analyst desk was just hearing me going, I'm gonna cry. Out of happiness.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it was surreal. It was honestly just such an incredible experience. And I hope I can continue to do it, because it was just so much fun.
Can you share with us some like backstage story that might be interesting to the audience to hear?
I think it was kind of hard, because the big thing was that, right, we're like super like the other cast are doing another one, and then we had the analyst desk, which was also in a different room. So it became a bit hard to like mix and match, because they were trying to keep everyone separated. So that became a little bit hard.
Okay. So I was talking to Emily about meeting you guys. How are you guys feeling, like meeting other people from like NA and like EU? How was that? Or reconnecting?
Emily's the best person in the world.
Emily's the
nicest
person
to take
She's
any other applications. Like,
right?
Yeah, no, it was another kind of like, these people, but you don't know these people, because like you meet them on Twitter, on Instagram and Twitch and YouTube and stuff, but it's a very kind of pseudo relationship you have with them, because you're like, I know you, but I know who you are on camera. I don't know you. And then it's like you finally get to meet them, and like everyone was super lovely, and like everyone was just kind of like just having a good time and really being supportive and stuff. It was just really, really awesome. It's just nice to finally get to know these people outside of just this is Emily on the LCS broadcast or whatever.
I think as well, me and Dash became best friends through sheer delirium as we got to like that 10 game day. We're sitting in the back, we have no idea what's going on anymore. We lost our minds like 3 games ago, and we're sitting in the back listening to music as we try to hard focus onto this onto the games. But it was a ton of fun. The guys are so nice, and I think as well, for say the likes of Dash, who's got like a ton of experience, like he was more than happy to sit down with us and just like, hey, look, here's some like tips and tricks that I've picked up over the years, and kind of like show us the way a little bit as well. Because like we're new guys in an international event, and we're fairly new casters on the scene as well. So to have them be that welcoming was incredible. And again, Emily is the nicest person that exists on the planet. I don't know if you saw, she left just like little notes in the car on the way home. It was like,
it was so cute.
Or on the way to the studio, was like, you guys are gonna smash it today, and all these, like, she's lovely. She's so
yeah. It was even better because, like, as I said, we couldn't really fully interact with each other because we were COVID restrictions. We had to kind of basically myself and Rob were our best friends together, and then it was like we had a shuttle bus that would collect us and bring us from the hotel to the studio, but Emily would get there earlier, so she left us a little note that said you guys are going to kill it and stuff like that. So even though we weren't able to fully interact with people at all times, it was we still got the wholesomeness from Emily, and it was just a lot of fun.
So what was your most favorite game so far at Worlds, or like the one game that left the most impression on you?
Ooh, good question.
I don't know, actually.
I'm gonna say the first one for me, and it's not because of anything to do with the game as such. It's just that I will always remember that as like my first Worlds cast. It's like that game will be forever in my head as like the thing I did. So like it could have been it was a good game. I remember it being a good game. It was LNG versus Hanwha, so it was kind of slow, but like it was still a good game, and LNG won. Woohoo! But it was just, it's always going to be in my head of like, that was it. That was the moment you did it. Well done, you. So I think that one's going to be always, regardless of any other crazy games that happened, that was always going to be my most memorable one.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Oshie. I think that one, also the final one that we did, because it was kind of like a holy crap, we did it moment at the same time, where we finished off the best of 5. We came over, we hugged each other. It was great. But the other thing I won't forget, because my friends are refusing to, is there's a GIF that my friend has now made of me dancing in the opening code open for the show. And for anyone who doesn't know me, I suck at dancing. So I had no idea what I was supposed to do. So my friend is now pretty much daily sent me a video of me just smashing.
Can you send that to me
like
later?
Yeah, I'll send it over to you.
Okay.
He's pretty much just sent that to me every single day now. I'm just like, rise and shine, good morning. And I'm just like, I hate you so much.
Nice. Yeah, I forgot my question.
Don't worry, I have that effect. Wait, especially when you see that video.
When you see the dancing, time and space is an illusion. Nothing happens.
Okay. So I guess like, because people don't really understand why like elfia is not doing as well as people thought they would be doing. So what is your impression on why elfia is doing the way they did right now? Because like LNG is eliminated, and then FPX is eliminated. What happened?
So I think for me, I was actually like pleasantly surprised by LNG. Like I think they did a lot better than I had hopes for them. Ale looked like a monster. Or Ale, sorry, I've been pronouncing his name wrong. But Ale has looked absolutely amazing. I really want to see that guy like perform as he did more often in the regular season. But they were a massive step up. Like especially when we got in towards like playoffs, and then we got into regional finals, like damn, this team actually looks good. So for me, the fact that they like really like took games off of Hanwha, they looked great throughout, like that was a phenomenal for me. I was like super proud of what LNG achieved. So I don't want to take it away from them. I definitely think they did well, and it was unfortunate, like they had an opportunity to get out of the group and it sucks that they couldn't, but I was still like happy to see them performing the way they did. The big obvious disappointment is FPX, and honestly it kind of looked like, you know, they weren't entirely sure how they wanted to play the meta, right? We saw like a lot of Gallios and Malzahars and these kind of things that just weren't really fitting into the play style, especially for Doomby. Like he loves to roam, but kind of taking a lot of picks that would end up being pushed in early, so we couldn't really make those roams happen. And then even when he did manage to get a couple of those like plays off towards the top lane, a lot of the games I was looking at going, well, yeah, that works, but it would have actually been better if you went bot lane. So it kind of felt like there was just a lot of misreads on FPX's side that ended up kind of forcing them out. And especially when you're playing against teams like Damwon that look so amazing, those small mistakes are going to be capitalized on.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. It's like, I was super happy with LNG. Like there was a reason why I didn't have a huge amount of confidence in them. And even that, like, you know, they went into the first ever 3-3 four-way tie group against like Korea number 2, Europe number 1 and stuff like that. So like I was pleasantly surprised with how they performed in that group. It's unfortunate they lost, but I still think they'll come back stronger. But yeah, I also think the meta itself like very heavily favors LCK teams right now. And it's like the entire year up until this point, it was all about, the jungle mid duos and kind of getting yourself sorted in those kind of setups and stuff like that. And then that's shifted to top side. And that kind of works for Xiaohu and RNG and stuff like that. But like you look at teams like FBX and stuff, it was all about like Tien and Doomby. It was about basically bot lane surviving and those two, as Rob said, like unlocking and moving around and stuff. So I do think the meta definitely favored LCK, and as we can see, they're still as dominant as ever. But I don't think this is I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. Yeah, it sucks that like EDG versus RNG, and that's something we got to just kind of deal with, the civil war that's going on. But I still think we're gonna have an LPL team in the final, and I still think it's going to be a really close final. Like I know everyone's going mad on Damwon, and I don't get me wrong, Damwon are scary as hell, but I believe in the LPL magic. I always do.
So who do you think is going to be in the finals? Guess, or who do you think is going to win?
Well, I already have RNG winning, so Rob's crystal ball prediction's already dead in the water.
Yeah,
so.
I'd FPX, so that one went well for me. But
I win.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I honestly believe like whoever wins today is going to be the one that goes up against Damwon in the finals. And either way, I think we have a really good chance. And it's not like that I'm putting Damwon down. I just think that the LPL, like the RNG and EDG, both look scary as hell. We've already had RNG beat Damwon in MSI as well, so we'll see how that one now comes to fruition. But yeah, it's really tough to call, because especially when you look at playoffs, like we didn't get to see RNG versus EDG at all. And I think RNG having that like unfortunate loss to LNG meant that I'm still trying to see more so how RNG work in the current meta, because I just haven't seen enough of their games. So I'm excited to see today what they bring to the table.
Who is gonna win in like the next game? RNG and EDG.
Honestly, the way I put this on Twitter as well, is that like I think that EDG have a better chance of making it to finals, but I think that if RNG make it to finals, they have a better chance against Damwon. And I think the way I look at that is that I think I look at the combination of like Xiaohu and Wei versus Canyon and Khan, and I'm like that duo is power. It's comparable to each other, where it's like if one gets ahead, then the other one is going to really suffer. And I still think that Canyon is a better jungler than Wei, but I think the way that Wei and Xiaohu play together can really kind of work it out. So I think that EDG have a better chance of making it to finals, but if RNG make it, I think I give RNG a higher chance of succeeding.
Yeah, I don't know. I've like actually been stressing my brain so much to try and figure this out. Like, I'm a big RNG fan. I don't know if you can see, I've got the little Uzi box over here. I don't know if that's going to show up on the camera. I've actually got like a beer signed by Uzi from Harbin. That's in my little box over here.
Never going to be drunk.
It's never going to be touched, opened, or anything. So like, I am a big RNG fan. So if I'm gonna go with my heart, I'm gonna go with RNG, but I think EDG look damn scary as well. So I don't know. I'm torn. I'm not gonna lie.
RNG 3-2 banger series, calling it.
That's gonna be the headline.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it. Quote me.
So you said that Penguin said that you're really impressed with how Ali did, right? And at Worlds. So what are some other, maybe some rookies that you saw at Worlds that you think is gonna like show up in the future at like World Stage, or like become a iconic player?
Iwandi, because I love Iwandi.
Yeah, Iwandi's been like, on the Iwandi hype train. Are we exclusive to LPL, or can we say
no, every region?
Okay.
You go first. You go first with Iwandi.
Yeah, so I've been on the Iwandi hype train. I love that guy. I think he's going to do really, really well. I'm hoping to see more of Cream. I know he's kind of had his own troubles at the moment, but Cream will look terrifying this split. He looked absolutely insane. And especially I think like as he grows and starts to expand his champion pool, that's definitely a guy that I'm going to be keeping my eyes on. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to let you go, Ushin, as I try and like rack my brain here.
I was actually super impressed with Willer. I think Willer looked super good for Hanwha. And like, I know the joke was always like Chovy Life Esports, but like, I'll be totally honest. I thought Chovy had like a kind of underwhelming. that would kind of get you, but I actually thought Chovy had a kind of underwhelming tournament, to be perfectly honest. He had one amazing play on a LeBlanc, which in my eyes, it was when he was on, I can't remember, I think it was their last game in, I can't remember exactly who it was. It was in group stages anyway, and he had like an amazing like LeBlanc setup, but it was all like deft kiting it out like a monster and getting the health bars low, and Willer setting it up. And honestly, I think Willer is going to be someone from the LCK that we need to be paying really close attention to, because like he kind of stepped up a lot, considering again it was Chovy or nothing, and I think Chovy had a mess tournament. Didn't have a bad one, but I think Willer and Def definitely look better. Obviously Def not a rookie.
Cool.
Yeah, I think the other guy for me is that is actually, I knew there was one that I wanted to get to, was Grevtar from Red Canids. I know that's one that's like a lot of people aren't going to think of, but that guy like only played in playoffs. Like that was the only time that he joined the team, came up from the academy roster, joined Red Canids, and this guy like completely changed the face of that team. Like they went from a 5th place team to the top of the league over in Brazil. So I'm really excited to see him as he like gets a little bit more stage experience as well as to what he can do. I think he's definitely a guy that I'm keeping my eye on.
So I guess for the Western regions, because people before coming into Worlds, they think that maybe the Western regions are their strengths are probably like slipping down, and they have very high expectations for like Asian teams, right? But they're actually, I think, doing a lot better than some people predicted, especially in A. So what do you guys think about that?
So I think it depends on. So there's a couple of different parts of this, right? So I think NA look a lot better, right? I think they've definitely improved a lot, and they're starting to catch up with the rest of the teams. I think there was a distinct difference between like, it's kind of like NA, then you got to EU, and then you got to the Eastern teams, right? But I also think that like the meta that we're sitting at the moment, you get punished a lot more for mistakes, right? Because if you end up with, okay, cool, I'm a jungler, I mess up at Scuttle Crab, but now, you know, maybe I'm not getting the scuttle, or maybe I've died. Now the enemy jungler's ahead. You've now got this stronger mid jungle that can move around the map, and they can take like Rift Herald, they can crack open towers, and suddenly that small mistake has ballooned into, you know, 3 to 4 to 500 gold. And very quickly these mistakes are getting punished. So for teams, if you've been able to kind of play towards the later portion of the game and try and bring it back, you're not really getting that opportunity anymore. The games are kind of over by 2 to 3 items. So certainly I think that the teams that make mistakes are being found out a lot more. And I think that's why we're seeing like some teams that could in previous metas rely on like really good team fighting or late game decision making are found a lot tougher, just because it's harder, in my opinion, to come back into the game. So I think for EU, unfortunately, they have slipped just because I don't know. I don't know exactly what the reason is. I've heard like people say, you know, G2 came in and they had this wacky, funky style of playing the game, and that meant that a lot of other teams tried to emulate that or tried to keep pace with that.
It's all G2's fault.
Yeah, no, that's what I didn't want to like say, is that it's all G2's fault, but definitely like the guys have like, there's in trying to do that, they're not playing like very like perfect, let's say, League of Legends. So I think that's the difference, is that like now they're starting to go, okay, well, you know, maybe we play off 3 lanes right when we should only be playing off of 2, or we're not exactly figuring out our mid-game decision making as strong as it could be. We're not finding those windows to like roam with our mid lane on the early stages. It's like these little things that are now being blown up out of proportion. So I think that's why we're kind of seeing that there's certain things with EU teams that just aren't quite working out for them. Whereas when I think NA, who have been kind of copying the Eastern style, where they're like, okay, well, we're going to play it slow, try and like get vision and then move. I think they're starting to look a little bit better, and why they can actually take these like best of ones against some of the other teams. So I think it's definitely interesting to see. But I mean, for LPL as well, right? We've slipped this tournament as well. So I think that's why we're seeing a lot of people kind of go, well, what the hell is happening? I think it's just the meta explodes so quickly, where it's really hard if you fall behind early to find ways to come back in the later game as you would have in seasons past.
Do you think go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like the fans do themselves no favors either for the regions. Like it's the expectations of NA and EU are so blown out of proportion that and it happens all over the world, but obviously we see it more so on like our end of things, which is like Western media, like Twitter and Reddit and stuff like that. So like, but it's the exact same in Weibo and you know, Eastern social medias, where it's like a team loses from China and you know, fans are losing their minds, and it's that side of things that you got to temper your expectations. I feel sometimes a little bit. You can't really be going in expecting like, you know, Cloud9 or TSM or whoever it is to absolutely smash in international tournaments. And just like Rob said, like it's very punishing now when you do make a mistake, which is probably why we're also seeing why the LCK teams are doing so well again, because they make very little mistakes. They play to not make mistakes rather than the LPL style or even the LEC style, which is, you know, the wacky kind of team fight over Raptors. Why? Because we can. You know, it doesn't really work as much.
Oh, okay. So now in this meta, you can't go with that LPL style where you would just go in and kill everyone and don't care about getting killed. But now you have to be like very, very careful to be able to stay
yes,
alive.
Exactly.
That could be the reason, like reason analysis of the meta, rather than just expectations and happiness for supporting your own. Okay, cool. So I just want to ask you some more questions about like how you guys got into elfia and then your friendship. Is that okay?
Yeah, of
course.
How do you guys? So I think we talked about this a little bit before, but the audience doesn't know yet. So how do you guys got into casting elfia?
So I'm gonna let you start because you're the old man of.
I'm the old man of it. So season 2, I played like a random ass tournament with a couple of my friends, and we got completely blasted. We were all like bronze, silver, and we were up against like diamonds and challengers, and we got absolutely destroyed. But I basically realized pro gaming in League of Legends wasn't for me. But to commentate on those, maybe it was something I could do. So I basically messaged one of the other mid laners from one of the teams that beat us, and was like, hey, you're really good. You want to commentate this like finals for me? So we basically did that, and I found I really, really loved it. And then I was like, I want to do more of this. And then there was just nothing after that. There was no scene I could jump into. Obviously, I was brand new, so I didn't know exactly what to do. And this was well before everything became established, and there was like tiers of which you could do to kind of get better. But so I comboed with a couple of different people and helped basically push towards getting an Irish League of Legends scene, and then basically casted every single game I possibly could get my hands on, and then Rob joined me fairly early on in the journey, and that's how I met Rob actually. And then we've kind of been here ever since.
Yeah. So
how young were you guys when you guys first?
That was 8 years ago for me.
Yeah. I mean,
I would have been 20
or 6 years ago.
Yeah, you were a little bit after me. So I've done it for 8 years, and you've done it for about 7.
Yeah, so I was what 21 at the time.
21. Yeah, I would have been 20.
Yeah, so basically, I was playing some of the tournaments. I used to play for my college, and then I got into my final year and was like, well, I've got to focus on university. I can't really be playing, like, my final year's exams are here. I've actually got to focus on this. So trying to practice like 3-4 days a week just wasn't possible. So I decided to take a step back in my final year to focus on my studies. And then one of the days, one of the other casters that usually does it was sick. So I got a message off of a friend who had met through League of Legends, like, hey, look, we're really stuck. We're looking for someone who's going to be a caster. Any chance you're interested? And in my brain, I was like, not a hope in hell. I have no interest in this. No way. I don't want to do it. But I just read a book called Richard Branson's Screw It, Let's Do It. Richard Branson's the guy who owns Virgin. And it was like, basically say yes to every opportunity that comes up, and then figure out how you're going to do it later. Because in my head, I was like, I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to be horrible. Everyone's going to hate me. I'm going to get a bunch of mean comments. It's going to be disgusting. And I was like,
bad time.
Right, but let's just do it. And I absolutely loved it. I fell in love like the second I did. I was like, this is great. I absolutely enjoyed this 100%. And then they're like, yeah, you didn't suck. You weren't absolutely terrible. Any chance you want to do this again? I was like, yeah, sure, I'm down. So it kind of started off small, where same as Ushin, we did it in the basement of a hotel that was basically like maybe 100 people in there. A couple of them were players, some were viewers, and we'd cast for like 12 hours or something like that. I remember people feeding me chicken as I was casting because I didn't get lunch.
I did an 18-hour shift once of casting because we had double elimination with 16 teams. And I was the only play-by-play caster at the time. So I just ended up doing all of it. And I literally got to the final best of 5, and my voice literally I had nothing. I could not speak, and I couldn't even like rasp it out. So I had to sit that one out, and I was like, I can't do that again. So that taught me vocal exercises.
I think it's like when you're doing something you love, you just kind of like forget time.
Exactly.
Like, you're just like, like for me, I'm always doing esports like 24/7. Even when not in the office, I'm still like doing like writing my articles and everything. You just never stop, but you're so happy.
So myself and Oshin went from we were in the basement, then we got an invite to go over to the UK scene in the United Kingdom. Went across, both me and Oshin went over for our first like big international event over to do the ESL Premiership. And then we came back, and then Penguin moved over to work for Riot at that stage, right? After that?
Yes, that was 2018.
Yeah, and he was working as an observer in the back rooms, then he moved up to a stats guy. And I was working in a bank at the time. I was working in finance. So I got to a stage where they're like, I was making enough money off of like casting in a side portion of being sick a lot at work to make this, to be like, hey, I think I can make this a job. So I ended up, they were offering redundancy in the bank. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to take redundancy and I'm going to see if I can make this job work. And within that first year, I made basically zero money. Everything just dried up.
You probably lost money, if you're being honest. That's how esports works.
So I was like, this is a terrible idea. And then that was the year that I applied for LPL, but Penguin had already gone over the year before, or was it the summer before? And it's
summer 2019.
Yeah, summer 2019, Penguin went over and was like, hey, we're looking for people in LPL. I was like, yes, God, please. Because I was like, I already love the LPL. Like as I said, I was already a big RNG fan. So the fact that I could potentially cast the LPL and was also a massive League of Legends fan, like just made the most sense for me. So I ended up joining Penguin then over in the LPL, and it's kind of been history since.
Awesome. So what do you think like for future LPL? Like what do you want it to become, like the English side of it? Like what kind of new program or stuff are you guys going to be working on, or you wish you could have a chance to work on?
So the biggest problem that I have is that I kind of forget that money has to exist to do the things I want to do. So
I forget I have to make money in order to survive.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, because we have all these grand ideas, and it's just like those cost money. And it's like, oh.
About that.
But money, if you don't need any money, what would you wish the program have or to create for the program?
I think it'd be sick to have if we had unlimited funds and unlimited space and basically could do whatever the hell we want. I think it'd be sick to have basically the same as what the other regions have, right? We've got caster desk, we've got our analyst desk, we can do a whole bunch of different side content. I know Lyric for a long portion of myself wanted to do hey, let's break down some of the nutty fights we have in the LPL. So why did they do this? And break down some of the concepts that we don't really see a lot in other regions, right? So one of the things that LPL I think does exceptionally well that other regions don't is, hey, they will take fights that they know they're going to lose, but they will blow summoner spells on the opponent or key spells on the opponent, so that then when the dragon fight comes up in a minute and a half time or 2 minutes time, they're ready and they've already blown these key summoner spells and they win the next fight. They're very, very good at doing that. I'd be sick to kind of break down these kind of things. But unfortunately, we just don't get the chance to do it. So definitely creating that kind of side content and doing some more goofy stuff. I loved doing last year we did for playoffs. We did like little shorts for all the different teams, and like we did like a Batman ripoff for LGD. We did like, because JDG is like the steak and wine team, right? We went to a fancy restaurant and me and Munchables pretended to be fancy and all that kind of stuff. Like we did some really cool stuff like that. So I'd love to do more stuff along those lines, which is just like, hey, we get to show our personality and also kind of show how cool and sick this league is.
How about Penguin?
It's kind of hard. I would love like an LEC style studio where you just have so much room like for creative your creative options and creative things to do, be it funny or analytical or a bit of both. And yeah, it's again, if money was no object, then I would absolutely love to do that and build up the team and have like a real kind of core mesh of people who really love this league. Because sadly, unfortunately, it's like, yes, we are 5 people and a couple of fantastic guest casters at the moment, but it's like 7 days a week is hard. So you kind of need, you kind of wish sometimes you had like a little bit more staff to help you with the load. But you know, I still love it, and I still think that if money was no object, we could do so much with it. But sadly, as we discovered earlier, money is the biggest blocker.
Yeah, I think everyone in esports is like, if you could just give me a blank check, I'll do all this cool stuff.
A couple of million, I'll sort it out. No problem.
Million. I would need billions. I want to be billions.
I wish all the players that make it all the salary, you can share some of their salaries.
Exactly. Yeah. Just ring up RNG and EDG like, hey guys, so we have this idea.
So as a LPL media, what do you guys want to see from LPL media? Maybe like report some stuff from like the Mandarin side to help you guys maybe build on it, or like my suggestions for us.
I think the big one is like player interviews and stuff like that. Like I think that's the hardest one for ourselves.
The translated
stuff in general.
They're so good. Like the Aluv interviews are like the funniest stuff ever from Worlds. Like so good.
The ones that he did with Candace were amazing. So like we've got like and if you're watching this, shout out to you guys. You're the real heroes of the LPL. We have like several fans that speak Mandarin, and I think most of them are Chinese, but they'll send us over the snippets of the interviews translated, and I'm like, you are amazing. Like you like the stuff that I can bring off of interviews into a broadcast are insane. So whoever these people are, thank you so much. You know who you are, and I love you to bits. But that kind of stuff is brilliant because like whenever we see these interviews and can actually bring in a bit of the personality of a player or that kind of stuff, it's wonderful. Because I think that's the hardest part for us is, unfortunately, like my Mandarin is terrible. I can be like Iga Piju, Shishia, and that's about it.
That's good. You can live in China and
better than mine.
A lot better than
I point at things and I point at things and hope they know what I'm talking about.
Or I go like Dangisha, so I can pull out my translate app and actually tell you what I want to tell you.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that. But yeah, like my Mandarin is not great, and I'm annoyed that it's not, because I do want to get a teacher and actually learn it. But it means that at the moment I can't find a lot of that information that I'd like to from interviews and kind of bring in the personality of the players. So we're relying a lot on other people to give us that stuff. So if there's interviews that are in English, it makes our job 10 times easier, because I like gobble that stuff up where I can be like, great, I can actually find out what this player thinks or what their thought process was in the background.
Hey, cool. Thank you so much. I think it's almost time for the game to start, so I won't bother you guys. Thank you so much. And hopefully enjoy the next game between the civil war of China, OPL.
I don't like choosing a favorite of my children. But...
No, it's not fair. I don't like it.
It's like, I don't want my parents to fight, but I gotta choose someone in the divorce settlement.
God.
Hopefully.
This got real dark.
Hopefully I get to see you guys back here in China so we can go to Disneyland.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully. Touch wood. All the different superstitions.
It's okay. We can also meet online.
Exactly. It'll be fine. We'll get something sorted.
Awesome. See you guys later. Thank you so much for coming.
Bye.
Bye.